Dear colleagues, today I'd like to present you an English lesson for students of the 10th A grade. The topic of the lesson is related to the module being studied and is devoted to various facts about unidentified flying objects. Methodological topic of the lesson is formation of a stable interest in the subject as a way of personal growth of the student. The birth of any lesson should start with a correct and clear definition of its goal, what the teacher wants to achieve. Then establishing the means, what will help the teacher to achieve the goal, and only then determine the way, how the teacher will act to achieve the goal. The learning objectives of my lesson are: identify the main idea of the text on unfamiliar and curricular topics, express their thoughts and opinions about the given topic making extended sentences, and use topic-appropriate words in justifying their point of view. At the beginning of the lesson, students are divided into 3 groups, differed by their abilities and skills. Considering their differentiation, it goes without saying that group work is more effective because it forms students' new ability to assess their work, compare it with the work of their classmates, and it activates their initiative and independence. While planning practical activities of students in the classroom, it is necessary to take into account the differentiation of students by the level of training and by the pace of work. It is necessary to choose such tasks so that a situation of success is created for any student. In connection with the search for the most effective teaching methods, I try to introduce elements of entertainment into the lesson. One of these techniques is the use of puzzles at the initial stage of the lesson that promote the development of thinking abilities and increase the motivation to learn the language of any age. The students are given a word in the form of drawings, letters, or numbers, and they solve the puzzle and name the topic of the lesson itself. In our case, this word is abbreviation UFO. Then we start the introductory part of the lesson, warm-up activities. These are exercises that contribute to the formation of a psychological and pedagogical climate in foreign language lessons, helping the teacher to establish interpersonal contact with students, to make them talk, to arouse their interest, and smoothly bring them to the main part of the lesson itself. My choice of warm-up activities, word association, is obvious because one of my goals of the lesson is improving students' speaking skills. Students need practice the vocabulary of this topic. The ability to give definitions is very often used while teaching a foreign language as a means of effective communication. The ability to define a word shows how well students master their speech. Each group defines UFO, and the definition of the third group is more complicated because it consists of advanced students. The main part of the lesson is aimed at working with unfamiliar text and developing speaking skills. Reading occupies one of the main places in terms of use, and it starts with pre-reading activities. 3 groups have to match the words with their definitions, and their task is different. The first group has the easiest words, the third group the most difficult ones. They have to do this work for 2 minutes. The goal of this stage is to involve the students in the work, creating positive motivation, and prepare them for reading the text. Then, students swap their sheets of paper and check the work of other groups. For each correct answer, they get 1 point. The goal of while reading activities is to check the degree of formation of various language and speech skills. The instructions are given to the students before they start reading, but they are carried out while they are reading. Their tasks are different in terms of difficulty. The first group does the multiple choice test. The second group matches the sentences to the gaps. And the third group defines whether the given statements are true, false, or not stated. They have to do this work for 3 minutes. And the last stage of reading uses the situation of the text as a language, speech, and content support for the development of speaking skills. Students in each group distribute roles among themselves, but it is very important that all students in groups must be involved in this kind of work. The first group retells the story in brief. This second group lists the most interesting and vital issues represented in the text and discusses where they can be used. The third group changes the end of the text and acts it. They have to do this work for 5 minutes, plus 2 minutes for presentation. The teacher assesses the work of students according to the criteria. And at the end of the lesson, students have to make a conclusion of the topic answering the questions. It is time for speaking. Speaking tasks help the teacher see how well the class is doing and what language problems the students have. And they help students see how easy they find a particular kind of speaking and what they need to improve. All the students take stripes with questions and answer them without thinking. These kinds of questions make them develop their critical thinking. 5 minutes before the end of the lesson is the perfect time to summarize the lesson, give homework, and answer the final questions that the students have. The homework is different for students of each group. The first group has to search the internet and finds out more facts about UFOs and aliens. The second group writes a letter to an alien and gives him 3 pieces of advice on what he should do before he comes to Earth. Ask him 3 questions about his planet. The students of the third group imagine they are aliens. They have to write their diary entry for 1 day in their journey through outer space. Include their thoughts on the planet Earth and the strange people who live there. Finally, all the students count their points to find out which group scored the most points and became the winner.